weapons of mass destruction 2 weeks away. Listen what he has to say.
So I think he's earned his right to have his opinion and to put it forward. On whether or not Iran was an imminent threat, for 20 some odd years, people have been saying they're a week away from a nuclear weapon. So I think there is an argument to be made that the imminence of this might have been overstated, that yes, of course, no one wants them to have a nuclear weapon, but how imminent they are, I don't know, 6 months ago, the Trump administration told us they obliterated their nuclear potential. So did they obliterate it, or are they 1 week away? So I think people use...
Yeah, great question. We've been hearing that our whole life, and we supposedly obliterated. I mean, Trump was posting about it on True Social. We obliterated. They're in the Stone Age with nuclear. Now, again, the reason why we're putting all these Marines there, we're blowing them to hell, is because they're 2 weeks away again.
Arguments to justify actions, but I didn't see Iran being 1 week away from a nuclear weapon, nor did I see a threat to our actual country from Iran.
Real quick before I let you go, you had.
And I like Rand Paul. I do. You know, you would think he's the guy, the face of Make America Great Again. You would think that, but no. The new faces of Make America Great Again are Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and Lindsey Graham. Turns out Lindsey Graham, Breitbart, terrorist groups funded by Lindsey Graham backed USA closing Strait of Hormuz. Lindsey Graham involved in freaking backing terrorist groups. Would that you would think that sounds strange, but no, because he works for the military industrial complex. He's a puppet for them. So of course he wants war, dude. He talks about blowing people up all the time. And this is the new MAGA. That is MAGA. Guys like Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, guys who care about the country, you know, shut all those. We want a bunch of Mike Johnson's closeted dudes like Lindsey Graham. That's the new MAGA, the closeted man. That's what that is. Anyway, Lindsey Graham up on stage swinging around a Iranian flag. This is the new face of Make America Great Again. I remember we used to make fun of leftists holding up other countries' flags, but now we got Lindsey Graham doing it. But it's okay because, you know, he's one of Trump's guys. And a lot of people get mad at me lately because I'm down on that. Well, it started off.
I have questions and perhaps a word of warning. Larry Silverstein is a prominent New York real estate developer who signed a 99-year lease for the World Trade Center in July of 2001, just 6 weeks before the 9/11 attacks. Following the destruction of the World Trade Center, he led the site's reconstruction and engaged in 6 years of litigation, ultimately receiving $4.55 billion in insurance payouts. Notably, on September 11th, 2001, Silverstein was not in his office at the top of the Twin Towers that very morning. Silverstein also owned 7 World Trade Center, which was also destroyed on 9/11. Coincidentally, Lucky Larry owns the U.S. Bank Tower in downtown Los Angeles, California, the exact city that the Trump administration has warned of a possible Iranian attack or a sleeper cell operation. Silverstein Properties acquired U.S. Bank Tower in 2020 for Organization has warned of a possible Iranian attack or a sleeper cell operation. Silverstein Properties acquired U.S. Bank Tower in 2020 for $430 million, 6 years ago. Hardly not the coincidence of his purchase of the World Trade Center. But 2 weeks ago, Silverstein Properties renewed a massive insurance policy to include terrorism insurance coverage, largely governed by the Terrorism Risk Insurance Act, or the TRIA, which enables businesses to recover from attacks by sharing losses between private insurers and the federal government. This current program ends in 2027. The $430 million acquisition involved Israeli insurance firms Migdal Insurance Company Ltd. And Menorah Miftavjam Insurance Ltd., who entered a joint venture with Silverstein Properties. Also notable is this man, Howard Lutnick. Howard is the current U.S. Secretary of Commerce, appointed by Trump. Lutnick is famous for also being conveniently not present on 9/11, though he worked in the World Trade Center, and he never missed a day of work until 9/11. In summary, the same man who knew not to be at work on 9/11, who leased the World Trade Center just 6 weeks before 9/11, and made billions from the 9/11 attacks, is the same man who owns one of the tallest skyscrapers in Los Angeles and recently took out a monumental insurance claim. And the other man, Howard Lutnick, is in Trump's cabinet, who also knew not to be at work on 9/11. And the insurance claim is held by 2 Israeli insurance companies that, if they pay out before the end of 2027, the United States government will pay part of it. Let that sink in. If you work in Los Angeles or in the Los Angeles U.S. Bank Tower, be alert. Pay attention to any changes in work patterns or unusual activity. It very likely will not be a terrorist attack, but rather a false flag intended to kill Americans, to foment support for Israel's war.